Today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the new items that I just recently acquired at the Connecticut Renaissance Festival and sharing a bit of my thought process with you to hopefully equip you better if you happen to be doing your own shopping. Greetings, adventurers. I'm Kramer, and as some of you know, I just recently finished playing Captain Francis Drake at the Connecticut Renaissance Festival, and these are all of the new additions to my kit that I have made. Some of these additions were things I was already planning on getting and stuff that I belabored and did research on, and other bits are just complete impulse buys, but none of them are purchases that I regret. Yet. As most of these stalls were manned by local craftspeople from around the New England area, not all of them have online stores or even online presences, but where I can, I will link their shops or their social media accounts in the description below for anyone who is curious. Now, I don't get anything from that. In fact, most of the people that I bought items from only knew me as my character, Captain Francis Drake, and don't even know my real name, let alone that I have a channel. But this video is mostly just to answer the question, where/when did you get that new thing as all of these items begin appearing in future videos? First, I wanted to get a pelt to add to my bedroll, but I made the fundamental mistake of getting something that is really nice and beautiful, and now I'm afraid to get it dirty. Don't be like me. Or just care less about your things. I assume that in a previous time period, pelts might have been more of a day-to-day occurrence, or at least something easier to get, and especially when materials are scarce, you use what you have until it's broken and then you just get another one. I also made the mistake of not really knowing exactly what I was looking for. Now, in some of the research that I did, including the video linked up here by Hands-On History AS, I knew that I was looking for a deer pelt and one that was either sun-dried or smoke-tanned. But I know that those are things that lots of bushcrafters and Viking reenactors use, and they have a semblance of durability and water resistance. Now, when I was at the fair, I had the options between chrome tan and brain tanned pelts. And because I was excited and a fool of a took, waiting was not an option for me. I wanted to get something right when I found it. I decided to go with the brain tanned option, both because I understand it to be a more historically correct method of tanning, and also because I was hoping it would end up being more durable in the long run. And from the small amount of research I did right before I purchased the pelt, I understand the actual difference between the different types of tanning and what chemicals or non-chemicals, natural materials that are used in the process. I wasn't able to find any side-by-sides or pictures or anything like that, so visibly, I have no idea how to tell the difference between a brain tanned pelt and a chrome tanned one. Now, that's not a problem with the company that I purchased from, and that's not a problem with the pelt either, but that is just a position that as a purchaser, I don't ever really want to put myself in if I can help it, and I would recommend that you not put yourself in that position either. Eventually, I'd like to get my hands on multiple different types of pelts and multiple different tans of pelts so that I can experiment with them in the field and then report back to everyone so that hopefully there is a visual and auditory guide for what you are looking for, why you're looking for it, and how to identify it. Even if it's out there, I couldn't find it quickly while I was trying to make a purchase, and I think that's very important. But that probably won't be for a little while because this pelt was $250 US. Now, they did give me a very nice discount because I worked for the fair, but that is gonna be a rare thing, so it's gonna be a while before I have the funds to start testing multiple different types of pelts. So I slept on this pelt with the fur side facing down on my cot, and then I slept up on top of the fur, and it was so comfortable. It was like sleeping on a thin memory foam mattress. That, and it just looked really nice in my cot. I forgot to take a picture, I'm sorry. The first time I slept on the pelt, it was around 40 degrees that night and pouring. I was inside my tent, of course, so I wasn't that concerned about getting drenched, but with the pelt, I could not have felt cozier. Time and experimentation will tell how waterproof or non-waterproof the pelt pelt is. In fact, I'm hoping that there's a way that I can wax or oil the back part of the skin so that it is more water resistant if I lay it down on a bed of leaves or some grass or something. And I'm sure there will be a number of very helpful comments in the comment section below for myself and for everybody else for what to do and what to definitely not do with a pelt like this. In fact, I am banking on those comments being there. I am really looking forward to reading those. Perhaps just age and use alone will season the pelt, as it were. I just really don't know. I've never owned a real pelt before. Next, I finally grabbed myself a flint and steel kit, so we will finally have period-accurate fire making on the channel. Originally, I was going to try to hunt down my own flint, and that's why I was holding off on getting a kit of my own for so long, was because I just wanted to make one. But when I went into the stall and I saw that they had these, I asked them if I could try using the flint on my knife right here, which is what I was originally planning on using as a striker, and I didn't get sparks, which either means that this is coated in something that doesn't allow any sparks to come off of it, or it isn't made out of wrought iron anyway. So at that moment, I decided the time had come, and I went ahead and picked myself up a kit. And it came with just a little bit of hemp cordage, a nice large flint here. I mean, this could easily be an arrowhead or something, some char cloth, and then of course the striker, which is already beginning to rust from the looks of it. It actually looks like maybe it was made from a rasp or something like that. I can still see the grains on it. Very cool, recycling. I went for this specific design because it's the one that fit my hand the best, just as I was picking them up and trying them all out. And so this tent was actually an 18th century reenactment stall. That is the sort of equipment they were selling. But from the articles that I was able to find linked in the description, these C-shaped strikers are common for the Viking period, 11th century. I am wary of anything being called a Viking something on the internet at all these days, but as far as I'm aware, these styles were used in the Viking period. And I have seen ones like this excavated from the medieval period as well. So even though I'm not going for a specific time period, I think I did all right. The tin that everything came in isn't medieval, of course, but it'll be very handy for making my own char material later, and I'll probably put the fire kit itself in a little leather bag just so it feels a little more medieval. From that same stall, and keeping with the 18th century style, I went ahead and picked myself up a new knife. Now, it's just stainless steel, it's not anything spectacular, but it is a nice handy little knife. To me, it looks a little bit like Geralt of Rivia's hunting knife, although I know that one has slight more curves to it, but I like this straight shape because this is going to be my new practice throwing knife. It's got some good weight to it. I don't have to care too much about banging it around or abusing it too much, but I can still use it as a knife as well because it's sharp. It's just got a nice heft to it. I'll probably make a different scabbard for it at some point. We will see. In this case, I avoided the mistake that I made with the very expensive pelt and got just a cheap $20-something little knife that I can chuck at a couple trees. Safe and sound. I still think it looks believable as a knife, even though I know it's an 18th century construction and not a medieval one. Maybe one day if the handle breaks, I'll see if I can do the same thing I did with my machete and turn this into a more medieval looking knife. Next, I went ahead and found myself, again in the 18th century style. I loved that stall. They were great. They were like going into a real life Townsend's shop. It was great. But I got myself a couple new brooches to replace the little one that I lost earlier this spring when I played Robin Hood. These ones are even thinner, which I like a lot because it means that I'm not really worried about damaging any of my garments. The pins are very nice and small. I think they're either copper or bronze, which therefore has copper in it. I got two sizes, one to use for my cloak and then one to use just to attach my hood onto my tunic, and then the other small one is for my girlfriend. Next, I got myself some good soaps because I was interested in the base ingredients of these ones specifically. They are an olive oil base. They're a lot denser than some of the modern soaps that you can buy at the drugstore. The olive oil base sort of reminds me of how the Romans maybe would bathe. They used olive oil and the scrapers to get the dirt off and all of that. So I'm curious to know how these will perform in contrast to modern soaps. Little experiment there. And they will last a lot longer, I think, because they're denser, they're harder. So they'll be nice to take camping. I actually don't know if olive oil based soaps makes sense for the medieval period, but again, this is living anachronism, and I envisioned that these were a luxury item that maybe I traded for in Erebor or in Dale or something like that, and that's where I got these very nice smelling good soaps. Not really a medieval upgrade, but I also picked myself up some extra leatherworking tools. I have a strap cutter now and a much better belt punch, and these will be christened on my Witcher chest plate. It is in production. You will see it soon, I promise. It's just taking a little bit more time than I thought it would. The pattern, I want to make sure I get it absolutely right, because if I screw it up, that is a lot of leather that I essentially just have to throw away or turn into tiny little items that I don't need. And the final prized purchase that I made at the fair is this camp axe. I have never been an axe person before I purchased this axe. It was made specifically for me by the blacksmith there. I believe it's made out of a railroad iron, so the head of the nail actually acts as the head of a hammer now. Oh, how the turntables. The handle itself is made out of white ash, and it just has the slightest of palm swells, both at the very end of the grip and also right here up towards the head. So it's super comfortable to hold and index. So I know exactly what direction the blade is pointing. I'm never gonna accidentally swing it sideways or hit myself with it. The blade also has a slight beard on it, so I am able to get up nice and close, have the blade right behind my hand for whatever crafting needs I have, or if I'm, I don't know, punching an orc or something in the face. You never know, you never know. This axe is going to be the center point for a number of experiments that I do in the future, and I don't see a world in which it isn't an item that I reach for any of my ranger loadouts. I am in love with this knife. Did I say knife? This is an axe. This is an axe. It works as a tool, it'd work as a weapon, it's weighted for throwing, so says the maker himself. I also just like that, I don't know if you can see with the glare there, but the overall silhouette of the axe reminds me an awful lot of some of the finds from 11th century axes that I've seen, where I think this is, I'm just gonna call this the bridge. I looked up axe anatomy before I made this video, and I couldn't figure out what this little section here is called, but it's very thin, almost to the point where you look at it and go, well, what were they thinking? And I think it's probably just because they were trying to conserve as much material as they could. But as far as I have seen, this is a historical axe head shape, which I like personally. So I didn't have it weighed. I don't know how much it weighs. I don't believe I have a scale that will pick up the weight of this axe. If I do, I will put an annotation. If I don't, you'll be staring at a blank screen right now. But it can't be more than 2 pounds. It's incredibly light and easy to carry. The first thing I want to test is the different methods with which I want to carry an axe with me, sort of like I did for how would I carry a longsword over long distances. I want to do the same thing with this. The methods I want to try are just sticking it through my belt, using a ring frog, or using a leather frog. And if you have a method for carrying an axe that you prefer that I didn't just list, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I will see if I can test that out as well. But now, between my, I think it is accurate to the 11th century, but it could easily be a tomahawk. And now with my 18th century knife, I can go full Benjamin Martin Patriot mode if I need to. With all of this, which is just a cool feeling. Living anachronism. I can be 18th century now if I want to. We've upgraded. So, my fellow adventurers, thank you for joining me here today as I share with you a number of the improvements that I've made to my hard kit. Eventually, I'm just going to have to make a video on my full Ranger loadout. I know people have been asking for it, but I will see you next week with another video, and in the meantime, I'd like to wish you good luck on your adventures.